We all have the same 24 hours in a day. The big difference is how you use it. What's up, friends? Welcome to The Beautiful Mess, where we talk about tools and tactics to improve your life. I'm your host, Paul Dittus, a creative director, and super excited to have you on this episode as we talk about time and what it means to have 24 hours in a day. It's a reality that we all have, but we don't all have the same value that we get out of it. Some people earn a lot more money in 1 hour than other people. And then also people squander it. They waste it on mindless things, whether they want to or not. So it is something that we all have. It's a finiteness that we're honed in thanks to our clocks and things that have, and the sun obviously is a defining factor of our days. But I want to talk about a little bit a time audit, how to audit your time. This is an idea that I've been thinking about a lot. I actually started doing a time audit using Toggl. It's been a time tracking app that I've been super passionate about for a long, long time. And basically I was doing it for a while and then I got sick, as you might hear. So if I don't sound normal or, I'm not my usual self, that is why. I'm a little bit under the weather, but I am making it here today just because I love being here with y'all and talking about these awesome topics. So today, actually, I was watching this YouTube video with Chris Do from the future. If you haven't heard of the future, not like the concept of future. This is funny that we're talking about time and the future. It's a kind of like a design agency, or I don't know. They just create a lot of interesting content. I should look more into what exactly they do, but I think they create a lot of content for ads and things like that. Anyways, Chris Do is a very wise person, very educational, very well, has a lot of knowledge, especially in the realm of creativity and in using your time well and various other topics. Just a good person to check out if you're interested. So yeah, I was in the midst of doing a time audit when I realized that when you're sick, your time kind of slows down. And that's exactly what happened. I was, tracking my time like a good person. And then I just realized I could track this time, but to be honest, it's not like my normal day. So it's not going to be as effective, at the end of the week, which was the hope, is that I'd have tracked, from morning to night, what typically happens in a day. And then at the end of the week, I'd have all that data to make better decisions of how I'm using my time, where I can be more effective or focused in using my time. And then I just realized, when you get sick, you have a whole different view of time, because all of a sudden you don't really feel like doing much except resting and recovering and all that good stuff that comes along with being sick. So that's how I've been spending the last few days, is just resting, recovering, doing a little bit here and there. But honestly, what I realize is that to do anything while you're sick, seriously, under the weather, it's going to take you so much longer. You're going to get frustrated. You're going to feel the motivation that you normally have to do things is not necessarily there. So that's something to be aware of. When you're doing things while sick, you kind of have to give yourself a little bit of a pacing to slow down and realize where things are at. One quote that I really like when it comes to time management is one actually from Gandalf from The Lord of the Rings, and he says, all we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given to us. It's so true. Like, that's all we really can do. Like, we're all given the same 24 hours in the day, but what counts is what you do with that time. And so let me dive into the exercise that Chris Dude talked about in his YouTube video. So basically he, made it like real. He has this exercise that you do. And so first of all, you determine how many how many hours in a day to typically have. Is it, 16 hours? Is it 14 hours? Or 18 hours, depending on how long you sleep at night. That's during your waking day, how many hours do you have? And so, all of a sudden, you cut off 8 hours, hopefully, maybe less, maybe more, who knows? And then with the remaining hours, you get sticky notes. And one sticky note color, like you should have two different colors. One color is for an hour. The other color is for a half an hour. And so you're going to give yourself sticky notes for the remaining number of hours that you have left. So let's say you have 16 hours left, after you calculate sleeping. And you get 16 of one color, or you can trade one in for 2 of the other for half hours. So now that you've got those sticky notes and you've got the equivalent of the amount of time that you have, you're going to write out on each one what a typical day looks like. How much time do you spend doing work? What kind of work in those hours? You're also going to determine, how much time you spend on distractions, social media, you name it. You're going to write that down too. You're going to determine how much time you spend watching YouTube, watching Netflix, on social media. And slowly you're going to fill up all those, things like lunch, taking a shower, whatever it is that you need to track, just take it by hour or half hour blocks, and you're going to, make that happen. And then you're going to put it up on the wall so you can see it all. And then another good exercise is to determine a goal that you have in mind. Maybe a little sprint, like something that you want to accomplish in the next week or two. And then what you can do is determine, okay, how many hours, would it take per day to get to that goal? And then what you're going to do is you're going to have to take away, you have a place where you can take away time from your, you got your new sticky notes that you need to put on, but then you're going to have to take away, because all of a sudden your time becomes so real, because it's like, oh, wait, if I, put this on here, I don't have all of a sudden 25 hours in the day. It doesn't change. You got to face reality. And, maybe we're just like, that's too hard. Maybe I'm comfortable where I am. I don't, although I do want to accomplish this, maybe reality is tough, so it's an important question to ask yourself. If that's something that you're struggling with, it's time management. What are your priorities in life? If you're not feeling like you're getting somewhere in life, take a time audit. It's like reality in your face, because how you spend your hours and days add up. And, if, for example, with this podcast, if I didn't spend time recording it, then I wouldn't see the fruits of it. And you can do this with your week too, write out the hour chunks instead of the, individual hours, because that would be a lot of sticky notes. Group it together And then it gives you a little bit more of a big picture. Like all of a sudden you're realizing that you're spending, maybe 8 hours plus on social media. And that, that's probably on the low side for most people. And then, maybe you're spending too much time on video games and you want to be working on building a YouTube channel or sharing your insights with somebody or making new friends, finding new activities that you want to do. Each person's different. And that's why this exercise, you can tailor it to your situation and you can get a lot of fruit out of it. And I thought it was just really neat. Like, the other thing is that what Chris Du talks about is like treat time as currency, literally. At first I was like, time is like, it is very valuable, but like money and time, people say it all the time, all the time. And I was like, okay. And then it hit me. I was like, but yes, because I think I talked about this prior, is like this idea of budgeting your time like you budget your money. And then it clicked. It was like, oh yeah, that's a good idea. It's like, you need to treat your time like it's money. Like all of a sudden, if you realize that each hour is $100 bill, are you going to spend that $100 bill and put it on the, like the social media hour, or are you going to put that on the, I'm going to learn a new skill. I'm going to like put in the effort to learn a new instrument, something that's a little bit more enriching in your life than just spending a mindless hour scrolling. Okay, this is something a little bit unrelated, but like what I realized, I was scrolling through Facebook. I realized like there's a lot of ads, and you might not realize it. You think like, oh, I ignore the ads. They were coming up basically every fourth. So 1/4 of your news feed is basically ads. I'm maybe more or less depending on where you are. And then I went to Instagram. I kind of wanted to see what that looked like. Pretty much the same story. Every few posts you get another ad. And I was just like, wow. We are being fed so many ads. I think our time would be better spent reducing the number of hours spent on social media so that we can be doing higher quality things like creating media, even creating content that's worthwhile, worth consuming, podcasts, YouTube videos, things that have lasting values, things that you can give to people that will enrich their lives, will bring them joy, bring them happiness. Because at the end of your life, like how do you want to see that tally? Not the week tally, not the day tally, but your life tally. What do you want that to look like? Because like the book I'm reading, the 4,000 weeks, it kind of talks about how we have, the typical average lifespan, and I think they said was more or less 4,000 weeks. And, once you see it in that kind of view, it's like, wow, like reality is that like, we don't have that much time here. And it's actually like a somewhat freeing thing to realize. It's like, I don't have that much time, so I better use it well and, make the most of it. And so that's one thing I was thinking about during, while I was sick, was that we like move so fast, and, with being sick, it like kind of slowed things down. And all of a sudden it was just like, I could see the little interactions with the kids happening, the little moments where like, the smiles, the giggles, and, all those little moments, and, just being able to cherish those. So I think it's so important to realize like you do have limited amount of time on this earth. Maybe it's 4,000 weeks, maybe more, maybe less. But we all have the same 24 hours in the day. And so how will you use your 24 hours? When I go to schedule my day, I want to try to prioritize my most important tasks. And one way to do that is through time blocking. So not only, you can do the exercise where you block out a typical day, and then hopefully you measure it a couple times just to see where you're actually spending your time and maybe need to correct that. But it's important to realize you're more important, your rocks kind of situation, and then kind of put those ahead so that you're going to start prioritizing those things and just kind of enjoy the process. Don't always be, what's the next thing? I can't wait until I do this so that I can do this other thing. It's how can I enjoy what I'm doing right now? Right now I'm making a podcast. How can I enjoy making this podcast with you in this moment, not tomorrow, not, so that I can record episode 1000. No, how can I enjoy this episode and give you the most value that I can, even when sick and probably running on low fuel here. But, another thing is to define what you're going to say no to as a result of realizing how finite your time is. Because once you say yes to something, all of a sudden you realize, I'm going to have to knock off this, and this. Am I okay with that? What are your priorities? Is that okay with you if we whittle off, going to the gym? Is that okay with you if we take off watching YouTube to learn new things? What is your priority in life? One of the things that he talks about is don't major in the minors. Don't spend a lot of time in the little things that don't add up to being a lot, because there's all these minor little fires that go off that beto, you need to do this, you need to do that. And in reality, in 5 years' time, a lot of that will not matter. And the things that do matter, they'll still be around. So, and you'll probably care a lot more in 5 years that you focused on the more important in the long run type of things. Because it doesn't matter how, this is something from Stephen Covey's, what is it? What's his book? The Seven, I forget the name of the book right now. Sick brain here. But it doesn't matter, 7 rules for highly effective people, something like that. But it doesn't matter how fast you're running up, scaling a wall, if all of a sudden you realize that you're climbing the wrong one, So make sure you're headed in the direction that you want to be going, not in the direction that at the end of climbing up this high wall, you're going to look down and realize, oops, it was the other one. So learn from your experiences as you go along, course correct as need be. And it'll be good. So it's important to make time, blocks of time for those most important things, and then push off those things that are not as important, that will always be there. For example, email is always present. And so the more that you can minimize the amount of time that you're in email, the better. Push it off to maybe once or twice a day if possible. I know that this is something that I'm working on, is trying to have a structure behind and a reason behind how I do email, and making that so that, it's not distracting me from the more important things that I need to be working on, and kind of setting it off in a place that makes sense in the day, and still getting back to people in a timely manner, but also not letting it take over my day and distract me from what needs to happen and what's important. Thanks so much for tuning in, friends. If you want to join the Messy Fam, be sure to rate, review, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Wherever you listen to podcasts, we'd love for you to be in the Messy Fam. And be sure to, time audit your day so that you can realize where you're spending your time and where you want to go and make those adjustments. I'm super excited to hear about what you'll do with your time. And until next time, my friends, stay messy.